everyone, I'm Priya, CFRE's Media Director, and today I'll be speaking to Bruce Good from the Good Brothers. So, how are you? Welcome.
I'm fine. Everything is good here. How about with you?
I'm doing great. Super
Okay,
excited to learn more about you, what you guys do.
cool.
So, could you tell me a little bit about yourself and the group?
Sure. We are brothers, truly brothers, not like the Doobie Brothers. None of them were brothers, but we are. Our last name is Good. We didn't make that up. That's not a stage name. Uh, had we made it up, we would have called ourselves the Fantastic Brothers, but we'll settle for Good. Anyway, we've been playing music since we were kids. Our mother was probably our greatest influence. We come from a very musical family. As I mentioned, my mother played guitar and my dad played harmonica. And we grew up in a musical family. Uh, our children are also musical. In fact, my two sons were in it, are are in a band called the Good Brothers. Of course, unfortunately, I lost one of my boys. My youngest boy passed away with an undiagnosed heart condition about 3 years ago. And yeah, the as far as the Good Brothers are concerned, we've toured all over the world since 1970. We've been performing for over 50 years. Our first encounter with professional music was in a group with a guy from Winnipeg named James Ackroyd, and we were called James and the Good Brothers. There were my twin brother, myself, and James, and we made an album in San Francisco with the help of Grateful Dead and Jefferson Airplane and some of these great Northern California groups. And then when James and the Good Brothers split up about 2 or 3 years later, we brought our younger brother Larry into the group. He plays banjo and guitar, and our music sort of took a country direction from that point on. And that's kind of our history. We've had some great tours. We've toured Europe over 40 times, across Canada as many, maybe even more, probably 50 times. And after all these years, here we are still at it.
I love it. It's so family oriented. Like, I can see like that's where the passion comes from.
It
And
does.
I loved your story. I read up on you guys, obviously, to prep for the interview. And I was
Right.
like, it sounds like you guys have done like everything.
Well, yeah. Well, in the our very first tour, the first few gigs we got was we were playing in a coffee house in Yorkville, which back in those days was the hippie uh, wonderland. Tour buses used to drive up and down Yorkville Avenue to see the hippies, but it was quite an experience. And we were noticed by a couple of promoters while we were playing in a coffee house one night. We were playing for chili and beer, and they invited us to open some shows, James and the Good Brothers, that is, at Maple Leaf Gardens, of all places, with some big name acts. The first show we did was with Grand Funk Railroad. The next one was with, let me see, Frank Zappa and Mothers of Invention. Later with Carlos Santana. And the list went on. We did about 4 or 5 shows at Maple Leaf Gardens. And then they put together a train that went across Canada. It was
Oh,
called the
wow.
Festival Express, and it was an amazing thing. And it was our very first tour. So yeah, we kind of, it was kind of sink or swim for us when we started playing music. Suddenly, we found ourselves playing in coffee houses just for the love of playing music, which we still do today. We play for the love of the music, and then suddenly we're thrown into the pool and playing opening shows at Maple Leaf Gardens, and then this fantastic tour across Canada on the train called the Festival Express, and it carried the Grateful Dead, Janis Joplin, the band, Ian and Sylvia, 10 years after, Buddy Guy, the list went on. And then this unheard of trio named James and the Good Brothers. And that was our very first tour. And it was an amazing thing traveling on the train with all these people. You actually really got to know them. That's how we met the Grateful Dead, in fact, and why we went to California to record our first album. We were invited by them and we took them up on their offer. My brother Larry stayed in or rather, James stayed in California when we came back home. And that's when James and the Good Brothers actually split up. And we recruited our younger brother Larry, and we've been playing music as the Good Brothers ever since. We've been lucky enough to receive several Juno Awards for our
I've seen
work.
8.
Yeah, eight.
Impressive.
Yeah, and again, a big surprise for us. I mean, our careers have been filled with all kinds of great surprises. And then I, my two boys, I'm going to break away now, and my two boys, especially Dallas, the one that unfortunately we lost. He was the founder of a group called the Sadies, and at that time, his brother Travis was playing guitar with his dad and his uncles in the Good Brothers. So Dallas asked Travis to join his group, and it was about time he did because, like I always told Travis, it was time you played with kids your own age. So he went, and it was great. They started this group called the Sadies, and they were very successful. As a matter of fact, I'm proud to say that they've won a couple of Junos as well. So that's kind of our story. And then tragically, as I'd mentioned earlier, we lost Dallas about 3 years ago in February, last February, and that's it. And the Sadies are still playing. They play. They're playing all across Canada, throughout the U.S. They're now a three-piece instead of a four-piece, and they're still enjoying a lot of success. And I'm very proud of them.
Well, first off, I want to say I'm sorry for your loss.
Well, thank you.
I can imagine that was very difficult to go through.
It was very difficult, and especially, I guess, well, you never get over it.
Of course.
It's something that you'll never, you just can't get over. You may get through it, but you'll never get over it. Right? And so a couple of months after Dallas passed away, I was kind of floundering a little bit. I wondered if I'd even get back in playing music. And I went down to my music room downstairs where I have a very large picture of Dallas in the corner. And I started writing uh, just to get my mind off, this profound loss. So I was writing a couple of songs, and then I thought, I wonder if I could write a song about how I feel. And
Mhm.
that was actually Greg Keeler from Blue Rodeo who said, have you changed at all? Has there been any significant change in your life? I said, well, other than the fact that I've lost a son, um, yes, this feeling of grief. It's like it's so hard to shake.
Mhm.
And he said, "Have you any changes physically or anything?" I said, "Other than the fact maybe I'm drinking more than I used to drink," and that sort of and I said, I've actually been drinking more now that he's gone. And I thought, well, maybe that's a title, maybe I just a working title. So I started writing this song. And it was kind of with Dallas looking over my shoulder on this big picture I have of him. And I'd write lines and I'd look over my shoulder and I go, oh, no, I don't think he would care for that line. And so and with his help, I thought I don't want to write a song that's dark and really sad, and it is a sad song to some degree,
It's more of a
especially
tribute, right?
yeah, it is a tribute, but and the way I wrote it was that it wouldn't sound like you lost someone over a death.
Hmm.
And so I wrote it in a way that it could be just any loss of any kind. It could be a separation between a couple, um, someone moving away, someone leaving someone else, or someone passing away. So when you listen to the song carefully, you realize that um, it is about loss, but it never really suggests in the song that it's about someone who passed away.
Yeah, when I listened to it, I thought it's more about like the story and like a journey of someone's life
Yeah.
and like the impact.
Exactly. And of course, it has a profound impact on you when you lose someone. And for me, it was like therapy writing the song, and I
Mm.
rewrote it. There's an old saying that uh, good songs aren't written; they're rewritten, and it's very true. Because I must have rewritten that song. Oh, I don't know, maybe about for 6 months. Every time I went downstairs, I'd change another word, I'd change another line. I'd go, that's not matching up with this line. Now that I've changed that, it's kind of, changed the song. So the song went through many, many changes before it got to the finished product. And I played it for my brothers, and then our record company heard it, and they said, "Would you consider doing it?" And I really had to think about it because it was so personal to me. Whether I wanted to share it with the rest of the world.
Hmm.
But my brothers convinced me that I should, in as you mentioned, as a tribute to Dallas. So that's how the song came about.
I can imagine also it like will bring people together too with their own experiences and it
You
just
know, you're absolutely right. Excuse me, but you're absolutely right because we've been doing it for about a year now live, and I, it's unbelievable the number of people who come up to me after a show and say, we lost our son or we lost our daughter, and we know exactly, and you put it into words exactly how we felt. And in one case, actually, when we were playing down in Prince Edward Island, actually, and a gentleman came up to me and he had tears in his eyes and he said, we lost our daughter in Afghanistan. She was serving over there. And and that just hit, I lost my son through natural causes, but to lose a daughter in that way, it just, to me, was just so horrific. And he and I, we just hugged, and he cried and I cried. And he said, "Thank you so much for writing that song. You put into words how I've been feeling." So, just that in itself. And then I've had a woman come up to me and say, "I lost my son, and it wasn't so long ago," and I put it into. So, just those two incidences alone was worth everything that this song has meant to me.
honestly it feels like you're reminding people that we're human and like things happen, life happens,
Yeah.
and it's those things that will bring us back to each other.
Exactly. That's absolutely true. Um, and we think about that all the time. And Dallas will always be in our hearts. He'll
Mhm.
always be with us. The boys, I know with the Sadies, when they play, they have a big mural that they put an image of Dallas. It's a beautiful image too. They always put it on stage, so he's always on their stage every night when they play. And he'll always be in my heart and so many, many other people's hearts.
That's great to hear. And I'm sure other people, again, when they hear that song, it's a tribute to whom they have lost as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Before I like officially wrap things up, did you want to tell our listeners like where they can find your stuff or anything they should be on the lookout for?
Sure. Well, we'll be touring. Right now, we're in the studio doing a lot of recording. So we're going to be touring toward the end of the summer. We'll be back on the road again, as Willie says. And you can visit our website at thegoodbrothers.com. And the song "Now That You're Gone" is being played on YouTube and any of those outlets, or it's on Spotify and all these other places if you want to give it a listen.
All right. Thank you so much, Bruce. I'm Priya,
Thank you.
CFRE Radio, and we'll see you next time.